Good morning. We begin with 4 words. Are you a citizen? Republicans want that question added to the next census in 2020. Democrats do not. So what's the big deal? State Rep Ramon Romero is in studio with one side of this argument. He is a Democrat representing part of Fort Worth, and joining the questioning as always is Bud Kennedy of the Star-Telegram. Ramon, thanks for coming in today. Your first time here.
It is. Thank you for having me, Jason.
Glad to be here, Easter. Absolutely. Happy Easter to everybody here, too.
Happy Easter.
Let's start with this. Ramon, in 2000, when President Clinton was in office, the census asked the citizenship question to a lot of people. What's the big deal about this now?
I think that I'm sure that in 2010 and other presidents since then, different administrations have realized that it has had a chilling effect on the amount of people that actually participate in the census. And the census has one requirement, a constitutional requirement, and that's that all persons are wholly counted. So through a trial and error method, I'm sure, we have found that folks don't participate in the census, and that's not good for the states if they wish to adequately have representation in the U.S. Congress.
I was thinking back that it seems like when I filled these out before, I haven't answered all the questions on there. Can't you just skip over this?
Well, that's in question. The question at this point is, do you believe that the administration or those that are in the Census Bureau are capable of doing the right thing at this point? And what will they do if you don't answer all those questions? Will they just throw it in the trash? Does it go in the circular file, or will those folks be counted?
Ramon, it's been on the community survey before. A few people have been asked, but not everybody. You know, why is it so important to push back against it this time?
Well, I think if you're in Texas and you have an expectation to have 3 additional congressional seats, I think that's really important for Texas. I think it's really important for our Attorney General and our Governor to state that we will not be shortchanged. We deserve our dollars. When we send them to the federal government, we expect those dollars back. I believe that this is seriously a push by the federal government to hold on to as much of that money as possible. When we think about those dollars, the $40 billion or so that Texas will get of the $600 billion that can be allotted, how much of that is going to go back to the people? Because this is really people money. This is about housing. This is about transportation. And I believe this is Texans' dollars. I recently put a post this morning. I was like, are you a Democrat, a Republican, or a Texan? When it comes to this issue, I think that Texans need to stand up. And it starts with our governor. Governor Abbott should stand up and say, I don't believe that that this question should be added, and Attorney General Paxton should do the same.
Well, but now people who are here who are not citizens are not eligible for some benefits personally, but you're talking about money overall that's sent to cities, that's sent to districts, things like highways. Some of that's allotted by the census. Yeah,
the more people that we have in our state, the more money we'll have from that $600 billion pool. I think that's the #1 issue here, is do we deserve all those dollars back for our state, the state of Texas, and do we deserve additional representation in Congress because of the growth of our state?
It sounds like this is going to happen regardless. Can Democrats do anything to stop this?
Absolutely. There's legislative solutions. I think the Democrats and Republicans in Congress have a decision to make. Are they going to follow the Constitution? This is a constitutional requirement that every person shall be wholly counted. And if they want to follow the Constitution, if this is a nation of laws, they will do the right thing, and this question will not be a part of the census. And if so, then more dollars will be spent to go back to those folks that don't fill out that question, that don't fill out that questionnaire. We're going to knock on doors, and that's going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars potentially to have people knocking on doors instead of people actually filling out the census and sending it back in.
Trying to find those folks. Let me switch off to the legislature reconvenes in January. The Texas House will select a new speaker. Is there anyone that you could work with? Any Republican you want to see in that position?
Well, I think there's dozens of Republicans that
Give me some names. Who do you want to see in there?
Well, I think Zerwas has already announced. Phil King has clearly announced. But I think that there's some other people that are there. I mean, if you ask me, I wish Lyle Larson would run. You know, I mean, he's someone that is willing to challenge the leadership and challenge the establishment and shake it up a little bit. That's really what we need. We don't need someone that's going to get along with one party. We need someone that will say, I disagree with you, whether you're Democrat or Republican. I disagree with you, whether you're Democrat or Republican, whether I do. The ideas of the whole need to come together.
Will Democrats have a say in this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We don't know how many seats we're going to pick up, but whether we're going to pick up seats or not, that's going to happen. And I think that the Republican Party realizes that. I hope that the persons that are serious about running for Texas Speaker in the House in our side of the building do not believe that it's going to happen at an outside building and not on the first day of
Will the Democrats
session.
pick up seats in Tarrant County?
I believe that it's possible.
In the Senate or in the House?
I am hoping that our Senate District 10 gets picked up.
And let me ask you about a Tarrant County issue. There's been a statewide debate over sanctuary cities. We've seen that continue to play out of the courts. But in Tarrant County, the sheriff has trained his deputies in the 287G program.
Right.
Why is that important, and why has that drawn so much concern?
I think Sheriff Wayborn believes that his folks should do the job of the federal government, and I think that that's the taxpayers of Tarrant County to decide whether or not their taxpayer dollars locally should be going to do the federal government's job. I understand in some degree what Sheriff Wayborn wants to do, why he feels like that's his responsibility. That hasn't been the case, nationally, but I believe that it's just another one of those attacks, whether it's local or whether it's federal here with census, that chill the immigrant population, continue to further push them into the shadows and make them stay home as often as possible. There is no doubt that there are people in Fort Worth that don't drive as often as they used to. SB 4 has absolutely driven people out of Texas and back to places like California, back to places like Arizona. And for those of us that don't believe it, just look at the cost of construction. The cost of construction has skyrocketed. Anyone who wants to get a project done now takes a lot longer. And listen, that is raising taxes. When the cost of a product goes up and that sales tax is now more, that is raising taxes. What happened to conservative government? What happened to keeping more dollars in our people's pockets? It's not happening.
State Rep Ramon Romero, Fort Worth Democrat, thanks for coming in today. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you, bud. Thank you.